Hello and welcome to Crypto News. Today is August 6th, 2025, and the top cryptocurrency news is as follows. Let's start today's episode with Brazil, specifically the Brazilian lower house, which will hold a hearing on the creation of a national Bitcoin reserve. If passed, it will have to be approved by the Senate and signed into law unless vetoed. As you can see, we have a long way to go. However, on August 20th, this debate will take place, and if it passes, we could see 5% of public funds allocated to the Bitcoin market worth about $15 billion. Moving on from Brazil, we'll also go to America, where Trump signed a very interesting executive order on cryptocurrencies. President Donald Trump is set to sign an executive order as early as this week that will protect cryptocurrency companies and conservative organizations that are suffering from fraudulent banking practices. Thanks to the antitrust law, those involved in cryptocurrency, from companies to organizations, will be more protected by the state, because in the past, as you know, it was not like that. Then we'll look at our ETFs, and today we'll look at the Ethereum ETF. We'll see that on August 4th, we had a total outflow of $465 million, with the BlackRock ETF taking the biggest hit with $375 million in outflows. And that's kind of significant because that's the largest capital outflow that the BlackRock ETF has had in 9 whole weeks. So you can see how that period and the price of Ethereum fluctuates. Then we'll look at the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, where we scored a rare win on liquid staking, which, as I said, is a rare regulatory win. Specifically, the SEC issued guidance on liquid staking, stating that under certain circumstances, liquid staking activities and token acquisitions are not securities offerings. So based on this new guidance, we could see a lot of growth in the DeFi space in the US, especially for liquid staking, which is no longer under the SEC's jurisdiction under certain circumstances. And now it's time to talk about everyone who's buying crypto. We start with a Michigan pension fund that's getting a little more into Bitcoin with an $11 million stake in the ARKB Bitcoin ETF. Moving on, we go to Sharply Gaming, which bought $265 million in Ethereum, holding 521,939 ETH, all of which is worth $1.9 billion. From Ethereum, we move on to Solana and Bitmine, which bought 27,191 SOL, worth $4.9 million. And most importantly, it opened its own Solana validator, so it can stake that money and get back about 7% annually. And to wrap up with Solana, we go to Upexi, which we've seen in previous episodes. Now it tells us that it has surpassed 2 million Solana, which it owns as a company. The amount it bought is up 172% since July, when we first heard it had entered Solana. From Solana, we also move on to Litecoin and the company MEI Pharma, which bought $100 million in Litecoin. That is, it bought 929,548 Litecoin. The company becomes the first on the US exchange to adopt Litecoin as its main asset.Moving on from Litecoin, we move on to BNB and the company CEA Industries, which completed a capital increase, meaning it raised $500 million to slowly start buying BNB. Next, we move on to Capital B, which bought 62 BTC for $7.13 million, now owns 2,075 BTC, and is the first company in Europe to actually own Bitcoin. From our companies, we turn to an exchange in the cryptocurrency market, a big one, Coinbase. Coinbase plans to issue bonds. Specifically, it is expected to become the first company in the S&P 500 to acquire Bitcoin from the proceeds of a private bond offering. The bonds are worth $1 billion and will mature in early 2029. It will issue another $1 billion series of bonds, which will mature in 2032. Coinbase also plans to provide the original bond buyers with an additional $150 million in capital for the 2023 bonds and another $150 million for the 2032 bonds. So if they collect that money, it will go into Bitcoin, as far as we understand. Moving on to Coinbase Level 2. Let's say it went down for 33 minutes. Specifically, Coinbase Level 2, Base, stopped producing blocks for 33 minutes. And the reason was that they used the wrong sequencer. The particular sequencer that they used, in fact, didn't work at all. It was a system that they hadn't set up properly. That's why the network went down. For those of you who don't know, the sequencer is a very important tool in Coinbase Level 2, as its job is to gather all the transactions, compress them into a small package, and send them bound to the Ethereum network for finality and storage of the transactions. So if that doesn't work, nothing works on Coinbase. And for our last news of the day, we'll go to Chainlink, which is of course part of the tokenization of stocks. Specifically, Chainlink introduced us to a new product called data streams, which provides stock and ETF prices on the blockchain very quickly and efficiently. Chainlink says these data streams are now available on 37 different blockchains to help boost tokenization, and of course Coinbase will be entering this space as well. And we come to our favorite cryptocurrency market, where Bitcoin is at $113,000, with the price for another day remaining below our resistance. That wraps up the top news for crypto. Today is August 6th, 2025. I'd like to remind you that the content you just watched is created for educational purposes only and should not be considered investment advice, but rather as investment opinion. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and feel free to comment. Take care everyone, and have a good day.